Hello, this is John Ramsey, and this is My Big Comeback. I've got a very interesting guest today, Art Kimbrough, and I'm so pleased to have you. We've been talking about having you for a while and just had to work out the right time for everybody. And so tell me, Art, how's things going in your life? What you got going on right now?
Oh man, I tell you what, life is living at full speed. I keep trying to slow it down a little bit just so I can relax a little more, but I just got this energy just to keep going and pressing forward. The uh, the book is coming out soon, and that's just creating an energy in itself
That's
to
great.
do on that. The coaching business is picking up. I've got some wonderful, wonderful clients. I get to work with some really amazing leaders, help them achieve their dreams. And then my own business, the funeral homes that I own, we're doing some restructuring
Yeah,
so that I can make it sustainable and it doesn't need me, and then it'll take care of my wife and family,
yeah, yeah.
without me. So and just physically, and been a rough 5 years, but I feel as good as I've ever felt. I have to
Well,
look in the mirror to remind myself really an old guy, not a.
oh, you're doing,
My mind thinks I'm still way too younger than my body
you're doing
wants me
good.
to.
Part of what I talk to people about is their journey, where you start from, where you go. Because I know a lot of young people watching, a lot of different
Right.
people that watch. They always wonder, how did that person get there?
Right.
How did that happen? Where were you born? Where'd you start out at?
953 Jinx Avenue, right here in Panama City.
Panama City.
Four blocks away from Panama Grammar, 4 blocks away from Jinx Junior High, and 4 blocks away from Bay High. I had
Wow.
no excuse for my dad to get me a car. I had to walk or bicycle the whole time.
Yeah. So you know a lot about Bay County history,
Oh,
huh?
yes. I was here until I went off to college. Graduated Bay High, class of 65.
65.
Then went to Stetson University, was a music major, and jumped into that career for 4 years.
What'd you play?
I'm a trombone player.
Trombone
Trombone player and
player.
conductor,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And like many dreams and things we have, I pursued my dream. Ended up in Atlanta after college, teaching and performing, and working on my master's degree, and trying to reach the goal of being that either a conductor of a symphony or playing full time in a big band or a major orchestra. And like so many things, John, life teaches you lessons along the way. And I've kind
You
of
don't know what's coming, do you?
no, but I've kind of simplified it for those who wonder what it's like. That there's times in life that our life becomes a country song.
Yeah.
And after 4 years of doing that, I kind of concluded, reflecting back on it, that I was really, really good. I wasn't great. I wasn't elite. I wasn't going to get where I wanted to go
Yeah.
in that world. Uh, Kids were on the way.
Yeah.
Pay was lousy, and
Yeah.
had to get a real job and
Yeah.
make a living and provide for my family. So that's when I migrated out of music as a profession and into the corporate world and sales and marketing, and music became my avocation as
Yeah.
opposed to the
Yeah.
vocation.
And that's okay. You know,
Listen, lots of leadership. Where
it's
all these guys are
part of
talking
part of
football
how you enjoy
metaphors for
life.
leadership.
Yeah.
I talk music metaphors.
Well, and I think a lot of times people think of, well, I've got to give that up. You don't have to give it up.
No.
It just may not be how you make your living.
That's right.
And I think a lot of people, they throw the baby out with the bathwater. Well, I just won't do it anymore. No, keep doing it. It's what you love.
Right.
That's part of making a prosperous life,
That's
is doing
right.
what we love. That doesn't mean you're going to make a living at it.
No.
So you got into the corporate world, and tell me a little bit about that journey.
Well, one of the parents of one of my teachers actually was the head of corporate training for Southern Bell, which is now Bell South
Yeah.
at the time. And I was teaching his son private lessons. He came to know me and kind of know my journey, and said, I think you would make a great salesman with a telephone company. And I was interviewing at the time for a couple of other jobs in music in different cities. And so I said, okay, I'll take the test. I passed it. He liked me. They made an offer before anybody else did. And so, and I didn't have to leave Atlanta where I was at. So I took that role and jumped into the training, in 6 weeks of some of the most intense, mind-bending sales training
Really?
I've ever had. Oh yeah, just kind of a boot camp for sales. I mean, you had to memorize the script. You were there role playing and stuttering and stammering, and and feeling insecure and don't you don't know what you're doing. But by the time you come out of it, you've polished up a whole new skill.
Yeah.
And then it was thrown into the basket with that work, and that was the beginning of a journey in sales, marketing, management, leadership in the world of technology.
Yeah.
I migrated about every 3 years to either a different company or a different role within the same company. Went up the corporate ladder, and I look back on it, and in my corporate career with the big companies, I had 8 different roles with 6 different companies over a 24-year period of time.
Yeah.
And so the way
So you've seen it all and sold it all. That's
that, and and I hear the young people talking today about how, a few years ago being a coder and in the technology world was the path to greatness forever.
Yeah.
And now the last couple of years,
Changing.
AI has just totally disrupted them, put them out of work. Well, that was the same thing that kind of happened to me along that journey.
Yeah.
Between the big mainframe computers that I was heavily involved in and the migration to personal computers.
Yeah.
And it totally disrupted the industry, and it changed. And
it's always going to be changing.
That's right. And you could either whine, moan, groan, complain, and wallow in your own self-pity, or you can just adapt and say, what's next?
I heard the president of Intel say, because they were asking him, does AI mean the end of these computer jobs? He says, no, not the end of it. He said, it just changes. He said, there was a time where they said they brought in the big steam shovel backhoe and said it's going to do the work of 100 men.
Right.
And he said, same thing with AI.
Right.
One person that's good at AI can do what 100 people used to do on a computer,
That's
or
right.
maybe more.
Right.
And he said, so now you've got to now you're looking for an excavator operator.
Right.
You're looking for the AI is the excavator, it's the machinery.
Right. Right.
So now you're looking for an AI operator instead of all these things.
That's right.
He said, so it just changes, and I think it always changes.
Well, and I think today, too, it's moving at an ever faster pace, the rate of change. So, the skill set, while I didn't have a degree in technology, I ended up leading technology businesses and running technology training colleges and institutes, and it wasn't about my skill as a technologist. It was my skill as a leader and understanding the environment. Yeah. And I won't say I was always great at it, but I learned a lot of lessons along the way from the failures, and you keep improving over that.
Absolutely. I read when I read Steve Jobs' biography, the Apple founder, he said that, said someone asked him one time, what do you do? What do you do? And he said, this was, and you'll get the analogy here. He said, I play the symphony.
That's right.
He said, that's what I do. He said, I've got better horn players, but I play the symphony. I got better violinists, but I play the symphony. He said, I've got people that can write code better than me. I've got people that can advertise better than me, market better than me. He said, but what I do is bring all the pieces together and make them flow.
He's both the conductor and the creator of the music.
Yes,
the composer and the conductor.
And it takes someone doing that.
Right.
And a lot of people don't recognize that kind of role because I think, in my particular church and school and nonprofits and all that I do, that's kind of what I do.
Right.
When people say, what do you love to do? I love to preach, but I only get to do that a couple hours a week.
Right.
The other 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours is doing taxes, insurance, or making sure somebody's handled that and take care of it, looking over it. And I think a lot of CEOs, they got to wear a lot of hats. Right. And you deal with a lot of business people. What's the name of the group? The Vistage?
Vistage.
Tell me about that.
So Vistage is the world's largest CEO peer advisory group, 45,000 CEOs around the globe.
Wow.
We meet in groups of anywhere from 10 to 20 format, and we have a chairman, and it's a paid position. I am the chairman of the group for Panama City. I call it the Central Panhandle, which covers Panama City, west to Destin and Fort Walton a little bit, east through Mariana, all the way up through Dothan. And we've got about 20 CEOs that I work with. It varies, up and down, but these are some of the top. If I name some of the names, I'd be dropping too many names because they're some of the leading CEOs in the area. And they range in size from the smallest of a couple of $1 million who has a 50% profitability on this $2 million, all the way up to a $2 billion company. Wow. But most of them in this area fall between I'd say the $5 and $50 million size range, and employing anywhere from 20 to 200 employees, and growing sustainable companies. And so what we do in the Vistage world, and it goes back scripturally, if you want to play the preacher there, Jesus had 12 apostles, right?
Yeah.
He had a group of people who he was the mentor for. And he was their advisor.
Mentorship's important.
That's right.
It is.
And so we bring all of them together once a month for an all-day session, and then we'll bring in speakers, expert speakers, top speakers in the world on everything from AI to culture to health to succession planning, finance. You name the topic, we have an expert that we'll bring into it to what I call seed the pot, to provide them with education these guys don't get. And these companies are not like the large companies of the world, the Apples, the Googles, all the others that have executive and managerial and leadership programs to go through. They got to get it on their own. So we do that development, and then I spend 1 day a month, 2 hours a day with each one of them. As they like to say, I get to pull. I'm the guy who pulls the scabs off the Band-Aids off their wounds and makes them look at it, stare at it, and do something about it.
Yeah. You feel like there's a lot of corporations and people where, I guess the old question, it's lonely at the top. Is it?
Well, it truly is. And, we have a acrostic we use to describe the benefits of Vistage, and it's called MAGIC. Making better decisions, accountability, growth, isolation, and change. Those are the things that we really deal with, and our members join for any one or more of those reasons. But isolation tends to be the most, because as a business leader, particularly in a small community, there's not a lot of people you can really share everything with that understand what you're dealing with. Because the CEOs are no different than the frontline employee as a person. We're just people, right?
Yeah, just people.
And but we have a lot of responsibility, and sometimes the things we do right have a great benefit on many, and sometimes the mistakes we make have a negative impact on a lot of others too.
And sometimes you become the villain.
That's exactly right.
Just by doing what's best for the business.
Right, and even your personal life affects your business, and your business affects your personal life.
I remember my daughter calling me. She had just moved into a management position, and I could tell she'd been crying. She was hurt. She said, Dad, these people that used to be my friends, they all went out last night. They didn't invite me. I said, because they was talking about you.
That's right.
I said,
She's like, what?
I said, you're the boss. I said, you're the boss. I said, they was talking about you, and they couldn't invite you because you were the subject of the conversation. And I said, but don't take that personal.
Right.
I said, you're in a position that makes decisions now that affect them. And you've somewhat moved into the villain spot. I said, but don't think of yourself as a villain. No. You're the boss.
You're the leader.
And that's the way it is. And I said, it's just, you'll probably never be able to just hang out with them anymore at the level that you did.
You'll have a different group.
You
to
can
hang
have
out.
camaraderie, but you can't, it just changes. And some people don't understand that. And it does shock you the first time it happens to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, and people think it's some magic formula that business owners and CEOs and look up to it. But again, it's just really a lot of hard work. Along the journey, and some lucky breaks for many along the way, but the skill and the dedication and the determination to build something of value, and employ others with it and take care of their livelihoods, it's a real gift, and it's a challenge. It isn't for everybody. We are all leaders, even if people don't think they are. You're a leader of yourself.
That's
your
right.
Family. Within your community. Doesn't matter if you're an extreme introvert or an extreme extrovert or anywhere else along
different
the scale.
styles,
different approaches. And one's not better than the other inherently. It's a different role, and understanding what your strength is and using your gifts. That's where I find people who are the most content and the happiest in life. And while financial security is a big part of it, it's not the only part of it.
It's not the only part.
I think you and I have both known some people in life who, I won't use the phrase "don't have a pot to water
Yeah,
it."
yeah.
And yet there's some of the most happy,
Yeah.
content, satisfied people in the world.
And I've seen people take another job for less money
Oh yeah.
because it made them happy.
And I have
happiness is important.
And I
It's
have
important.
seen people with zeros behind their name,
Yeah.
more than we can count,
Yeah.
who are some of the most unhappy,
Oh yeah.
unfulfilled people in the world.
Which is a terrible thing.
That's right.
What kind of leadership style would you say you were?
Boy, I'll simplify it this way. I am a sorry supervisor, a mediocre manager, but a really good leader of leaders.
Yeah.
And I learned that over the years in the journey. And I had a chance early in my career. I didn't fully realize it, but my first promotion was into a regional management role where I had a dozen managers reporting to me. It was all remote, so
Yeah.
I was a leader of leaders to begin with.
Yeah.
I skipped the step of being, I'll
Yeah.
call it that micromanaging supervisor, task manager. So for me, what I found out on the journey is I'm really great at casting the vision, finding the direction, helping others see what they're missing, finding their blind spots.
They need that.
And so coaching and mentoring became my skill set by virtue of just sort of everything that I did, as well as the successes and failures I had.
I love it. I love it. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Art Kimbrough.
Heroes Child is a nonprofit organization that is on a mission to help community heroes with the everyday cost of childcare. We know that heroes like our military personnel, first responders, and foster families need care for their children. Heroes Child awards these families scholarships that go to help pay their childcare tuition. Use the QR code on the screen to donate now or visit heroeschild.org today.
Hello, this is John Ramsey. I'm back here with Art Kimbrough. We were just talking about leadership. And, years ago, I used to teach the DISC behavioral, personality behavior thing. And if no one else learned anything, I learned that I was an extreme driver. Now, what that meant for me was I'm short on the details. I'm short on the details. I often see the big picture. Here's what I want. Let's do it. Let's start tomorrow.
Right.
And the people around me have to scramble a lot because they think, well, we don't have anything ready. We don't know what it costs. I didn't think about any of that. And a lot of times they have to put the bridle back on me because I'm got way out there in front and making a mess of things.
I understand.
And so
that
over the
disease.
years, I've learned I've had to surround myself with people that make up what I lack.
Right.
Because it's good to know where your weaknesses are.
Right.
And do you ever use any of those
Oh
personality
yeah,
profiles?
I can tell you that I'm a extreme I
Yeah.
with a D not far behind it,
Yeah.
and the other two are non-existent.
Yeah.
But I've had to train myself to handle the details and do all of that over the years. I mean, it's like anything else. You can, by discipline, make yourself do things you're not as comfortable with,
Yeah.
and train yourself to do it. So I'm not that those things don't stress me anymore. But I'm in the same mode right there on the Myers-Briggs. I am an ENFP, all E, and lots of
Those are
P.
very interesting to me.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people never look at it.
Well,
You should look at
there's
it.
numbers of instruments out there:
Yeah.
the DISC, the Myers-Briggs, the Predictive Index, the Culture Index, and all of them have a different wrinkle to it. But being the preacher, I got to pull this one on you and see if you can give me you can quote the exact verses in. I can't pull the numbers, the numbers, but in
I don't know if
Proverbs,
I'll know the street address, but I'll know you about where it's
one
at.
of my pastor friends up in Mariana, Paul Smith at Rivertown Community Church, gave a speech a sermon one time, and he was talking on leadership, and he said, we did all the DISC profiles and to match people up and figure out what was there, and we still. It wasn't working. It wasn't fixing the problem. And then he went back to Proverbs and said, "Oh, wait a minute. There's three components in there that talk about self-leadership. There's wise people, there's foolish, and there's evil." Right? And he said, "And what's the criteria? The wise people, wisdom comes from being able to accept critique, accept criticism, accept correction, thank someone for it, take it and use it, learn from it. It may or may not be great feedback, but not reacting emotionally to it."
Yeah.
And then, of course, fools are simply those who it's blaming on everybody else along the journey.
Yeah.
And then evil is someone in Paul's version, they've been wounded so bad, they just want you to hurt as bad as they
Yeah.
hurt.
I think that's a
it's-
real good, it's
yeah.
good preaching, sounds like to me.
It is, but you know, when you look at that, when you overlay that on all the various personality profiles,
Yeah.
it helps you discern, say, more about where the person is coming from.
Yeah.
And those things affect
Almost
their
that
behaviors.
Stephen Covey paradigm illustration
Right,
that he
right.
does. It doesn't matter what you're looking at, it matters where you're looking from.
Correct.
Because that changes what you're looking
That's
at.
right.
And I think, in church and probably in every area of business, you deal with people because, and it sounds like you're a real people person. More than you can work the computer, more than you can work AI, how you deal and handle people makes you more valuable to any company than anything.
That's right.
Because people's what it's going to take to get the job done.
Right.
And I think a lot of people miss that. It's important. Sometimes I get accused of being curt. I can be very direct with something, and especially the more I get to know you, the more direct I am.
Right.
You'll ask me, well, did you want to hear that? Just put it there.
That's
I'm not mad. Just put it there.
That's right.
I told someone I love texting because, and this is going to sound so bad for me to say this, but I get to skip the pleasantries. Hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you? Oh, how are you? Good. Back and forth.
Cut to the chase. Just
All
do the job,
that,
right?
Just like, hey, can you bring me this? Like this
Right.
quick. And texting allows me to skip the pleasantries, and it makes it quicker to me. But there's people that they need that. I saw also, besides the Vistage thing, the funeral home group. Tell me about the funeral home business and how'd you get into that?
Well, I mean, that's way too long of a story to go into all of it. I'll give you the very short version of it. And it started really in 2000, actually in 1998. After I got out of the corporate world, I got tired of being bought, sold, traded, outsized, downsized, right-sized, fired, and terminated by mergers, acquisition, or whatever was going on. And so I decided it was easier for me to create a customer than it was to get another employer I wanted to work for. So I started my own training company and was on the national speaking circuit, working with leadership teams. And I was keynoting at a conference, and I was also the MC of it, and met a Harvard Business School professor, who was also one of the speakers. And he and I just sort of formed a bond, and we talked about and started planning to form a little consulting company together to do some joint work on various projects. And one day he came up with an idea for a technology solution, and I started sharing it with some investor friends that I had. Next thing you know, he takes a leave of absence from Harvard, moves to St. Louis, and we start a technology company.
Wow.
Start raising capital for that, and I shifted gears to do that. Well, then along came, and we were raising capital and going and growing, and then along came 2000, and the internet bust.
Yeah.
Money dried up, and it ultimately killed the company.
.com bubble, yeah.
So I told you earlier that my early life had a little bit of a country song to it.
Yeah.
This one came an even bigger hit.
Yeah.
Between 2000 and 2003, it went like this. Kids were grown and gone. Dog died. Wife left. Business went bust, and I went broke.
Yeah.
Mama's 92, living on the farm in Malone, Florida, just north of Marianna, right in that little corner up there between Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. And I'm struggling with what to do.
Yeah.
I'm underwater financially. I'm trying to restart my consulting company and grow it fast enough to overcome the hurdle. And here's my little bitty mama by herself on the farm, and her health's beginning to break down.
Yeah.
So I went and visited with one of my spiritual buddies and friends, another CEO, business owner. At that time, he had about 200 employees. He now has over 20,000, and his company's worth $20 billion in sales. But aside from that, we were just two, young 40, 50-something entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I said, David, I'm struggling with this. My pride doesn't want to let me, fail.
Yeah.
But I got my mama over here.
Yeah.
What do I do? And he says, Arthur, kind of speaking to me like my mama would, says, do you remember the fifth commandment? Speaking in this black Southwest Missouri drawl, tall black man, about 6'5", with that rich baritone voice, right? And I said, well, David, I can probably get around to naming all 10 of them, but I can't guarantee I can get them in the right order anymore. And he just simply looked at me instead and says, honor your father and mother if you want to live a long time.
That's right. That's right.
And that was like the longest 30 seconds in my life. He just dropped it on me. But, it was so obvious.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what was happening financially to me. My mission in life was to go take care of my mama.
Yeah.
And God spoke to me in my own way and just says, you go take care of mama and I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
I did, and he did.
Yes.
That led me to becoming the CEO of the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, the worst paying, best job I ever had.
The worst paying, best job you ever had.
40 grand a year, no benefits, and running a small town chamber. But I worked it out so I could continue doing some consulting. And I ended up helping several other businesses get launched because that's what I did.
Yeah.
And one of them was a couple of funeral directors that wanted to relaunch another, let's call it a roll-up. In today's language, it would be a private equity play where it's the platform company. So basically start buying up small and mid-sized funeral homes in the mid-sized market area where the big companies were not at.
Yeah.
And there were lots of funeral directors who were aging out of it, and their children weren't going into business, and they wanted to sell it. So I did some research on it, and we put together a business plan, went up and raised the money to get it launched, and that's how I got into the funeral business. I had never been in it before, but this was a part-time job for about 8 years as we built it, and I was the president and kind of the deal maker in it. We had a CFO who was a partner in it, and the 2 funeral director partners, plus the investors that came on board. And interestingly, we designed it so it would take at least 3 of us to have a 50+% vote override anybody.
Yeah.
So no 1 or 2 could just collude with each other and take it over. Well, sad things happened. About 10 years later, I retired from the chamber at age 65. So back it up. At age 55, I was dead broke, starting over from scratch. At age 65, we had grown this company to 8 locations in 4 states.
Wow.
Our goal to get to 40. But then the 08 to 010 crisis, just like the 2000 bust, took away all the money, killed the growth, and one of the partners died. And the other one was kind of lost his way. And it was either get with the investors, find some other leadership, liquidate the whole thing before it collapsed around us because it was not doing as well as it needed. Or the last option is the one I did, and I attended a Vistage meeting, met them, and I put the problem on the table, and the answer was just ask how much and how fast. And so it took me 1.5 years, but on my 65th birthday, I went into debt for 25 years for $5 million to buy out all the partners and investors with nothing down.
Yeah.
And that's how I got control of the company.
Yeah.
Turned it around. We sold off the ones that weren't doing well.
Yeah.
And it's taken.
Are most funeral homes corporate owned now, or is there still?
Well, I am the corporate. Owned now. So,
but I mean, even bigger than you. I mean.
There's many more. No, it's not most of them. The industry has about 15,000 funeral homes in it.
Yeah.
And about, I'd say.
You're talking about nationwide?
Nationwide, in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
And probably 11,000 of those are individually owned, family-owned businesses.
Good.
1, 2, or 3 locations.
Yeah.
And then the rest, there's only 2 publicly held companies that own them. One has 2,000, Service Corp International. Another one, Carriage, which owns Kent Forest Lawn right here in Panama City. They've got, 200 or 300 locations.
Yeah.
And then there's, in the recent years, others tried to do what we were trying to do and had better luck at it. Some of the guys and gals that started at the same time we did are up at 100, 150 locations. And, time and circumstance, their path worked. Ours didn't get it there.
Sure, but back in the late 80s, I was, for a few years, I was Brother Hunt's associate pastor, J.W. Hunt. And let me tell you, he was the funeral king. I mean, he did more funerals than anyone.
Well,
I mean,
here in Panama City, you had it broken down between the Methodists with the Sutherlands, the Wilsons at First Baptist, and then the Hunts with everybody else.
I mean, Brother Hunt did funeral after funeral. He was
amazing.
amazing leader and stuff. And I appreciate the whole thing of it's just such a it's a time where people's emotions are just raw,
Oh, right.
and they it's a business. I know it's a business. Bills got to be paid, things got to be
Right.
taken care of, but man, it's people are you either have. And I'm not pointing my finger at anybody, but I'm just saying in general, you either have people that are only in it for the money, that don't care about the people, and then the people that care about the people, and they try to keep the doors open. I mean, it's a tough line to walk.
It is.
I mean,
And one of the things I pride myself in is that it's very hard these days to find good funeral directors because it's not like technology or law or medicine or healthcare where the kids really want to go into it, right?
Yeah,
People choose to go into funeral directing for different kinds of reasons, and it's no longer because they're the child of the owner, which is like Steve Wilson here, right? Family multi-generation. The Sutherland's multi-generation.
Multi-generation.
But at some point, that model is dying out, and one of the interesting dynamics is where it used to be an all-male dominated business when I was young and you were.
Yeah.
Now, professionally, over 50% of the funeral directors in the U.S. are female.
Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that.
And part of it is it's an evolving sense of there's demographic issues, there's more women in the workplace, but there's a sense of those who want to give care to people, who really are good at meeting people at their worst moment. And helping them through not only the
and that's
mechanics
so
of
important.
It is, and
but at the same time, the bills have got to be paid.
that's exactly right.
It's a tough spot. It really is.
It is. So, but it's an interesting business from my perspective. Again, I've learned to love these people and what they do, and know the mechanics and everything that goes with it. But I am not the funeral director. My job is to find good leaders and support them and their team. And if I've got a good leader and a good team, I know they are taking care of the families in the community. And how do I know they're doing it well? We're growing organically.
That's right. That's right. That's wonderful. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to connect your organization with an audience that is eager for inspiration? The My Big Comeback podcast, hosted by John R. Ramsey, shares powerful stories of resilience and redemption, featuring guests who have turned life setbacks into major comebacks. New episodes drop the 1st and 15th of every month. For those interested in being a part of this community, sponsorship opportunities are now available. To learn more, contact Meredith Cobb at meredithcobbhwc@gmail.com. Let's make a big comeback together.
All right, I'm back here with Art Kimbrough. And, we've been talking about business, we've been talking about the journey, but you've got a new book. Tell me about your book.
Well, this came about as a result of having throat cancer and nearly dying, plus a couple of brain bleeds and nearly dying from
some
them.
health challenges.
Some really health challenges, and we can go into those in a little bit later, but the book is a product of that journey and reaching a point that says, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Not as, oh, woe is me, why me kind of a thing like that, but what's the point of this? If I'm going to survive this, what am I to do with this experience? And so that was the genesis of the idea. And after I recovered from the cancer, throat cancer, with all the treatments, and got back to my Vistage community with the other chairs in Florida, we were sitting around after the meeting one night, and they were asking me how I was doing, getting all the background of the story. They knew it had happened. They'd seen me before, and they, were aware of the journey. So here I am, I'm alive and well with them. And they said, man, this is a great story. You need to write a book. You need to come give some presentations. I want my groups to hear what it's like to face this kind of challenge and recover from it. So that was the genesis to write the book about it. It took a couple of years to really get started.
Yeah.
But a year ago, I finally made the commitment. The publisher, I got together with the publisher. They loved the story. They put a team of writers to help me do it. And they were, they drugged the stories out of me and then help craft it into more of a cinematic journey that is readable. Much better writing than I could do just by myself. I can write the stories, but it's just a sequence of stories. They help shape it into something that would really had inspirational impact.
You feel like cancer is the biggest mountain you've had to climb in your life? Tough, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it really, actually, I would say for me, at the moment it might have felt like that, but when I look back over life, the toughest challenge was the one I had a choice with,
Yeah.
which was to shut things down and go take care of my mother.
Really?
Because I had a choice. I had no choice about the cancer.
Yeah. You just got to do it.
I had to choose.
Yeah.
I had to deal with it
Yeah.
and choose how I dealt with it. But I didn't have a say-so in whether I had it or not,
That's
and which
good.
path
That's good.
that I went on. So
Yeah.
that's why I define that one as a tougher challenge. But physically, certainly, the cancer battle and
Did you do chemo and radiation?
oh yeah,
surgery.
and really the backstory on it is really even more dramatic. In fact, the Washington Post did a full-page medical mystery feature on my journey.
Yeah.
It started in December of 2020 during the peak of the COVID, when I had a little bit of a tender spot in my throat right here.
Yeah.
Went to my doctor. He examined it and said, "Oh, your throat's perfectly clear. You need to go see the ENT, see if he can find something." Well, both of them were good friends of mine. So went across the street, saw Dr. Consiglio. He scoped my throat, looked at it. Man, it's fine in there. Well, maybe it's a little irritated saliva gland. So we kept going down that path. Well, no, that didn't get any better. It kept getting worse. And then I posed the question. I said, "Angelo, I was a smoker from age 17 to 42 for 25 years. I know it's a long time ago, and everybody said that shouldn't be a problem anymore, but,
Yeah.
Judges posed the question." And he says, "Art, I can tell you this," because by then the pain was getting really severe. It was almost like a vice beginning to crush
Wow.
to the left side of my head. And he said, "I can tell you this, throat cancer does not cause that kind of pain. There's lots of pains it will cause, but not this kind. This is acting more like a neurological issue." So we went down the path, and was it a cervical impingement? Was it trigeminal neuralgia? Was it one of 100 other possibilities? And by October of 21, 10 months later, 11 months later, I am so disabled with the pain.
Wow.
Think of it as, again, like I said, a vice crushing your head and a hot spear taken right out of the fire, piercing through your top of your skull, going down through your eye, your ear, your neck, down into your shoulder.
Wow.
And for the first time in my life, John, I was so unable to think, to move. And I'm a guy who's never had suicidal thoughts or depressive thoughts. But for the first time in my life, I understood what hopelessness could be like.
You need
And why
relief.
someone could say, if this is all there is to life, there is no more life.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and end it, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, they got some relief. And then finally on February 27th of 2022, I'd gotten an appointment at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore with our top and anesthesia doc, head of the department, Dr. Annie Sue. And so I flew up there on the afternoon and evening of the 27th, that was a Sunday, for a Monday morning appointment on the 28th. While I'm in the office with her being examined, an artery in my throat ruptured.
Wow.
And I'm literally bleeding out right there
So
in her
wonder
room.
you didn't die.
If it had happened on the airplane the night before, I would have never made it to the ground.
Wow.
But here I am in one of the best hospitals in the world. And of course, she says, ER right now, it's only 200 yards away, so they didn't get a cart.
Wow.
They just, here's a bucket with, bleed into it, spit into it, and we'll walk it. They walked me over there,
Wow.
got me into the ER. Next thing I know, there's 13 doctors, nurses, and specialists coming around me, trying to, get it down. But, it's interesting. I had this total sense of calm. It was like, well, I don't have time to panic, number one.
Yeah.
Something's going on that I
Yeah.
can't control. And it wasn't that painful. It was just bleeding and just, and then it would start clotting, and then a clot would come up, and it was, so, they had to get some tests, ask the questions, and there were some uncomfortable tests. I had to go get a CT scan and lay on my back, drowning my own blood for about 2 minutes while I could get a good scan. And interestingly, I had MRI scans, anabarium swallow tests just a month before.
Didn't show
Showed
anything.
nothing. I've gone and reread the radiology reports on it. And anyway, this one showed something, and Dr. Alex Harbison, the ENT oncologist surgeon who was taking care of me, young guy at just in his early 40s, and brilliant. And he says, Art, we believe it's cancer. Don't know for sure, but there's a mass in your throat. We think it might be HPV-16 squamous cell cancer, but again, we won't know until we get the test results. And I want to come back to the idea of the human papillomavirus and its effect. Yeah. He says, but if I don't stop the bleeding, it's over. You will not make it. Yeah. And I said, so that's our most important thing. Yeah. And he said, I've got 4 ways to do it. I can, Boy Scout wise, if I can get in there, get a little incision, get enough of the artery to tighten a knot, that'll do it. If I can't, well, maybe I can cauterize it. If that doesn't work, and I'm not sure it will, the next step is we will have to do an interventional radiology procedure where we go in through your groin all the way up through the carotid artery, take a turn into the lingual artery, the one that had ruptured, and see if we can plug it from the inside out.
What?
And so I said, well, you mean like stuff it full of cotton? He said, well, it won't be cotton, but that's the general idea.
From the inside out.
From the inside
out.
From
the
plug
artery.
It, right.
Wow.
And he says, and Art, if that doesn't work, I need your permission to do very morbid surgery.
What does that mean?
You remember the no smoking commercials of the gal who was there? She had half her jaw and her throat gone and speaking out of her larynx. Yeah. That was the image that came to mind. And I said, is that kind of what you're talking about, Dr. Harbison? And he says, yeah, I may have to take out your throat and everything else that's in there.
Wow.
And that's no guarantee it'll stop the bleeding because it might create more bleeding that's in there. But that'll be the only choice. Do I have your permission to do whatever is necessary? But interesting, I had no fear. I had no stress. I just said, hey, Doc, I'm in the best place in the world. Yeah. God put me here for whatever reason. Wow. You just do what you got to do. I'm okay. Yeah. And meanwhile, they're communicating with my wife because I can't see her at this juncture, letting her know what's going on. And she's down in the lobby. And so I went in that night into the surgery, not knowing, the outcome. Wow. And interesting, the way the writers wrote the book is they took that story to that point of, here I am, and then I'm going under the anesthesia, and then I'm recalling all of the challenges I had in the rest of my life that become the basis for the rest of the book. And I come out of it. But I came out of it the next morning. I had a trach, a feeding tube, and a catheter. But I'm alive. You're alive. And I wasn't butchered.
Now, how many years ago was this?
This was 2022, so it's been 4 years. Almost exactly 4 years.
4 years,
From there, it became 7 weeks of radiation and 3 rounds of chemo. I transferred to Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. I lived there nearly 20 years. My son was living there. We're staying with them. I knew the chairman of the board of trustees for the hospital, who was my friend who had given me the advice about the fifth commandment back when. And in fact, he chartered a plane and flew me from Baltimore straight to St. Louis. Wow. To get me there and put us up in the facility. And I had great care. Wow. It was a very difficult journey. And along that journey of going through it, that's when I had, laying back one night, I had the epiphany, why me? What's this all about? Yeah. And it further amplified, and it got worse. I started having what I thought was sciatica, and I couldn't walk. Yeah. And the pain was as severe in my legs as it had been in my head. Yeah. Now, the pain's going away in my head because they're treating the cancer. But it turned out a synovial cyst was growing on my spine. And as soon as I got out of the cancer treatment, I was back here in Tallahassee with Dr. Albert Lee doing a procedure. And he says, Art, the good news is this is deadly pain, just like the other stuff you had, but it's just a cyst growing pressing on a nerve. Yeah. It's a 45-minute procedure, and 2 hours later, you'll walk out pain-free. Wow. And he didn't lie.
I think people are, I'm encouraged by how much cancer is changing, how much treatment is changing. My mother had lung cancer, and I think it was 9 years ago, she had part of her lung removed. Right. had a spot on her lung, never smoked in her life.
Right.
Dr. Andrew Weber here in Panama City, brilliant doctor, great doctor. She goes back to him because they found another one. So this is like 5 years from the surgery.
Right.
They find another one. And he says, well, and she says, well, are we going to take the rest of my lung out? He says, no, we're not going to do that this time. He said, we're going to give you a medicine, and it's going to kill that gene. And I'm paraphrasing now, so he said, we're going to kill that gene. And she said, will that work? And he says, well, here's the answer to that. It'll work to kill the gene. Mm-hmm. We don't know how it'll affect you.
Right.
We don't know how it affects you. Triglyceride is the medicine. And I saw an advertisement on it the other day. And she said, well, I got one more question. She said, how come you didn't offer it to me 5 years ago when you took out my lung? And he said, because it didn't exist 5 years
That's
ago.
right.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, and
lots of changes.
Well, and Dr. Harbison now left Johns Hopkins and went to Washington University, where he's the head of their new throat cancer tumor center, and he's doing research on how to train the body to kill the cancer, so that they don't have to use radiation that destroys your throat. You know, the cancer was killed, and it's the human papillomavirus. It's an alien invader. It's not like your body's turned against you, the traditional smoking cancers and things like that. And because it's all females know that the HPV virus causes cervical cancer, and there's a vaccine for them. Well, when they were doing the research in the 60s and 70s and 80s and discovered that causation, men don't have a cervix, so they ignored us. Yeah. What they didn't know or understand is that throat tissue in men is very similar to cervical tissue. Yeah. And in men over age 50, it attacks us, grows, and it's now headed to epidemic. By 2036, it'll be as prevalent as prostate cancer in men.
Really?
Yes. So get to know your ENT well. But I'll tell you what that led to, and to finish your question about my book. Yes, it's the story of my challenges, but the other part's the lessons learned from it. And there's two major themes that I address in it. One is, and that's where the title for the book, Fit for the Fight, comes from. There's always going to be a battle in life. Fight. And whatever the battle is in life we're going to have, there's going to be a knock that hits us and knocks us down. Yeah. Are you physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, and spiritually in the best shape to be able to handle those things? Yeah. Because this body is going to take a hit sometime and it's not going to recover. Yeah,
that's right.
And if you think about it, what's left of us when the body is gone?
That's right.
It's the things that are related to our mental stamina, our emotional health, our spiritual serenity and peace, and the relationships that we had. That's 80% of who we are.
That's right. That's right.
And then the other part is, what the lessons did I learn on how to recover when you are hit? So it's being prepared to take the hit, and how do you prepare for that? And then once you are hit with whatever the challenge is, how can you address it effectively, accept it, move on, and don't get stuck in the emotions of that. And I know you've seen people that
they do get stuck.
Some of the worst traumas in life, some people find a way through them and turn it into a blessing for others. And others, they just shrink into their shell.
It becomes their identity.
Right.
And instead of going back to who they were before they never come back.
No.
And it's a shame.
And so the title for the book is Fit for the Fight, Survival, Success, and the Art of Adaptability.
Where would we get it? Is it on Amazon?
Right now, you have to contact me. It's being printed right now. It should be available within a couple of weeks, but I don't have all the
but
mechanics
it'll be on
left
all
up.
the major booksellers and stuff.
It'll be on Amazon, and that'd be probably the easiest place to find it, or just contact Art Kimbrough at artkimbrough.com, or call you.
artkimbrough.com, or find me and I'll find him.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you what, it's interesting. You've had an extraordinary life. You really have.
I have been so blessed, John. Yeah. The bumps and grinds and things we all have, but they're the things that shaped me into who I am today. And I'm planning on making it to my wife's grandfather made it to 109. My plan is to beat him.
I'll beat him. Thank you for coming and talking to me today.
Pleasure, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.